Welcome to Victor Narrates Reddit. Like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss the next story. Tell us where you're watching from in the comments. Now, let's begin. Kim and I met about 7 years ago, and our relationship quickly evolved into a friendship. We were both raised in the Midwest as devout Christians, putting God above everything, even family. Sundays were dedicated to church and visualizing our future. My career was on the rise as an engineer, while Kim sold accounting software for a prominent tech company in Atlanta. After my college graduation, my parents, having accumulated considerable wealth, decided to buy me a 3-bedroom house. Eager to share their prosperity, they preferred to distribute their wealth while they were still around, unlike many who wait until death to pass on possessions, thereby missing the joy of witnessing the benefits of their generosity. My parents rejoiced in their ability to share their fortune and the happiness it brought. Kim and I got married just over 5 years ago. Since then, we have been living what could be described as a continuous honeymoon. Our intimate life flourished, with love being shared frequently throughout the week. We considered ourselves soulmates, much to the dismay of our friends due to our obvious closeness. The arrival of our twin girls, both with blonde hair, marked a turning point for us, enriching our lives even further. We dedicated ourselves to providing a nurturing environment for them, adopting a routine that some might find unexciting. Our nights were mostly spent at home, with occasional outings on weekends, and Sundays were for church. Unlike our peers, the social scene and fashion held little appeal for us. Kim dressed modestly, reserving any form of sensuality only for my eyes within the privacy of our bedroom. Our marriage was built on trust and openness, never hiding anything from each other, which solidified our union. Kim's way of expressing love was through affectionate gestures, which I deeply appreciated. We found joy in sharing our emotions and thoroughly enjoyed each other's company. Managing twins was demanding, but my enthusiasm for spending time with them never waned. Kim faced challenges with the twins, but I was always ready to support and help, ensuring we resolved any issues calmly. Life seemed idyllic with Kim and our daughters. Unexpectedly, Kim had to attend a 3-day expo because her colleagues fell ill, putting her in a difficult position. Despite her attempts to decline, her presence was imperative. She expressed her reluctance regarding the temporary separation. I reassured her by offering support and taking care of her packing for the trip, reinforcing the trust and perfection within our marriage. Our relationship was transparent, sharing every aspect of our lives, making the foundation of our marriage unshakable. We exchanged affection for our children and participated in all activities together. Because of this, the text message I received from my coworker, Greg, was hard to swallow and accept. It was the second night of the expo when I got a message from him. "David, how is your weekend going? I'm enjoying my time with my daughters. Kim is at the expo, and here I'm spending quality time with my beloved girls. Shouldn't you be at the security conference this weekend? In fact, you mentioned Kim was at a trade show, right? Do you remember which one?" "Well, yes, she's in Atlanta this week, but I'm not sure of the name of the expo. Her company is showcasing its products at the convention center." "Why do you ask?" "I'm having dinner with my team." "Are you sitting down?" "Actually, what are you implying?" Greg's message was accompanied by 2 photos and a video. I remained petrified with dread. The first photo showed my wife in an outfit I had never seen before. It was the most revealing dress I had ever laid eyes on. The plunging neckline showed off her generous cleavage, and she was wearing heels. I had no idea she owned such clothing, and her makeup was flawless. She looked stunning. Truthfully, I had never seen her look so seductive before. Upon seeing the first photo, I was convinced it was a look-alike, someone who resembled Kim, but it couldn't be her. I chuckled to myself, thinking I hoped Kim would dress like that someday, but that wasn't my wife. My laughter ceased when the next photo was revealed, which was a close-up of her sitting very close to and kissing Jonathan, one of the supervisors she worked with. I sat there stunned, motionless, not even blinking until the next photo popped up. It was another close-up of her smiling and gazing deeply into Jonathan's eyes. My heart stopped when I saw this message, But I tried to convince myself there was a rational explanation until minutes later when the next message arrived. It was a short video of my wife kissing Jonathan with her arms around his neck and her hand on his right chest. That was when my world collapsed. In that instant, I felt my entire existence crumbling. Tears of agony streamed down my cheeks as my heart pounded, and I felt sick. A message arrived. "Buddy, are you okay? What should I do? Can you see her right now?" "Yes, I'll call her right now and just check on her." I dialed her number and listened to the phone ring several times before it went to voicemail. I left her a message saying we missed her and just wanted to talk to make sure she was having a nice evening. I contacted Greg. I just called her. "What happened, David?" "I'm so sorry about this." She took her phone out of her purse, looked at the caller ID, and then put it back in her purse. "Man, I can't believe it's her. I mean, I've never seen her behave or dress that way, David. I never realized how attractive your wife is. My apologies, that's not what I meant." "It's okay, Greg. I appreciate you sharing this with me and not hiding it. You're a true friend. I'll figure it out, and you don't need to intervene. If possible, avoid letting her see you. Let me know if anything else happens, but don't waste any more effort following her." "Then I'll handle it, buddy. Will you be all right?" "No, I'm far from it, but I'm aware of what I must do, and I will handle it. I'm still in shock, and it will take some time for me to process everything, but you know I will. Thanks once again." "My honor. I appreciate you, buddy. I'm here for you." "Take care, Greg. Thanks once again." I treated myself to a strong drink and sat in the dimly lit living room, trying to understand how my life had been turned upside down in less than 20 minutes. I had absolutely no clue about any issues in our marriage. How long had this been going on? Was I really so ignorant not to see the signs? No, she hadn't given me any reason to suspect anything. In fact, over the last 6 months, she had become even more affectionate. Our intimacy had increased, and our bond seemed to strengthen. None of this made sense, and I couldn't understand it. Greg continued to send more photos and videos over the next hour. There was a short video of them dancing, his hand on her lower back, another video of them making out on the dance floor, and a photo of them sharing a deep kiss alone on an empty dance floor. It seemed they were so absorbed in their passionate kiss that they hadn't realized the music had stopped. I accepted that it was over between us, but there was still a lot I needed to figure out. Being an engineer and accustomed to solving problems, I switched into analytical mode and spent the next few days devising strategy. Unexpectedly, Kim called me at 10 p.m. after her last photo was sent. I took a moment to calm down, determined not to reveal that I knew about her actions. "Hi, love. Sorry I missed your earlier call. I was at a work dinner and couldn't step away. I miss you terribly, honey, and I wish I could be there with you, cuddling and kissing." "I missed you too, Kim. I love you so much, and it means a lot that you called. The girls are adorable, and I'll send you some pictures. They're dying for mommy to come home. I try to leave tomorrow, but my boss insisted I stay. It's hard being apart, love. We'll make up for it when you get back. Are you done for the day?" "Yes, I'm about to go to bed and face another busy day tomorrow. I love you, sweetheart, and I'll call you in the morning." "Good night, Kim. I love you more than words can express." I hung up as the tears began to well up again. What I said was sincere. I loved her more than anything and wished this was all just a nightmare. It was past midnight, and I lay in bed restless, wondering if she was really in her hotel room and what she was doing. Greg answered my silent question with another message. It was a photo of Kim and Jonathan on a couch in what appeared to be a hotel lobby, kissing intimately, his hand up her skirt and her arms around his neck. They looked like a pair of newlyweds, openly expressing their love. "And one last thing, buddy. I'm calling tonight, but it looks like she's going to be busy. Let me know if you want to stop following them. I can easily cut this off. It's hard to watch. I appreciate you sending me these photos. No, let her be. The fault is hers, and you don't need to get involved any further. Let it be. Thanks again." I cried until sleep ended my sorrows and tears, until dawn brought a new day. Kim sent me several affectionate messages in the morning, full of hearts, kisses, and emojis, professing her love and how much she missed me and our daughters. She joked about a passionate reunion upon her return, acting sweet and loving as if nothing were wrong. I began to wonder if perhaps she was experiencing a dissociative identity disorder, unaware of her actions, or maybe she had been drugged. I searched for explanations, but soon realized I had to face reality and make plans for the future. She was returning in a few days, and I had to prepare for the confrontation. We spoke several times a day, and everything seemed normal. She kept expressing how much she missed us and her eagerness to come home. I couldn't decide what was more infuriating, the fact that she had been unfaithful and with another man, or that she had lied about it, playing me for a fool. The pain of seeing her with Jonathan was as deep as the betrayal itself. After receiving Greg's messages and facing the harsh truth of my wife's infidelity, I took steps to protect myself. Being the most tech-savvy in our family, I installed software on her phone that would allow me to track it if she ever lost it. Naturally, I bought the latest software available, set it up, and also taught Kim how to use it. This software suite included a feature to record voice, text, and email with automatic cloud uploads when activated. To be clear, my intention in installing this software on her phone wasn't for surveillance purposes, but it ended up being beneficial. Before last night's incident, it never crossed my mind to pry into her private affairs. But after that, my trust was forever changed. I felt the need to protect the girls and try to save our marriage if possible. Fortunately, the girls occupied my time and diverted my thoughts from my deteriorating marriage. Making breakfast, cleaning up after them, and playing with dolls were activities I deeply enjoyed and valued. Managing 3-year-old twins is no easy task, I assure you. It's quite a physical challenge. By 2 p.m., I managed to get the girls down for their afternoon nap. After showering and tidying up the house, I sat down to catch up. Kim had sent several affectionate messages and mentioned she would call at 5 p.m. after wrapping up her day. After checking her messages, I accessed the cloud through my laptop, logged into her account, and reviewed everything that had been uploaded since I initiated the monitoring software. I was in shock reading the messages sent to Jonathan. Here are snippets of their conversation. "Last night you were amazing, love. I'm looking forward to our next encounter tonight. Thanks, honey. I enjoyed it too. Can we head to my room after we finish before dinner? Of course, but first I need to call my husband. I'll be ready by 5:15. Does your husband suspect anything? Absolutely not. He is convinced I adore him, and I'll make sure he keeps believing that. Our affair has been hidden for over 6 months, and he is completely clueless. I'm skilled at handling him, so don't worry." I had to stop reading as my anger surged. Kitty, he called her Kitty. That was my pet name for her in our intimate moments. Did she share that with him too? How could I be so naive, so completely fooled? In a fit of rage, I threw my laptop onto a chair, stood up, and let out a scream of frustration. My anger, which I usually kept in check, was now overflowing uncontrollably. I was about to break another lamp when the sound of the girls crying brought me back to my senses. I quickly calmed down, went into their room, and comforted them until they stopped crying and settled down. I let them play in the living area while I sat down with a strong drink, cleaning up the broken glass from my previous outburst. In my heart, I knew the marriage was over and it was time to act. I didn't have the strength to listen to any more of their conversations or to inspect the additional files piling up in the cloud. So, I decided to keep pretending that everything was fine with Kim, just as she had deceived me. My plan was to continue acting as a devoted husband while devising my next steps. My immediate priorities were to contact a divorce attorney, hire a private investigator, and explore ways to secure custody of the girls. They were my primary concern and the only meaningful aspect of my life right now. Une, how are the girls? They must miss their mom so much. Oh, they're all I can think about all day, and you too. I'm longing for the moment I can wrap you in my arms. I promise to give you the warmest kiss. I replied, keeping up the charade. Oh, my love, you are in my thoughts constantly. I can't wait to hold my caring, attractive wife once again. We'll be together soon. Somehow, I managed to keep my composure, and the call lasted exactly 15 minutes. At 5:15, she ended the call declaring her love and saying she had to go catch the shuttle back to the hotel, promising to text later. I adore you. Another simple lie that she was exceptionally skilled at delivering. I adore you too. Honey, more than you can imagine. The pain of her lies and betrayals had now been supplanted by contempt, fury, and wrath. I was determined to dismantle this woman's life and make her atone for her lies and betrayals. I truly loved this woman with all my being, and this was the hardest task I had ever had to undertake. I met her at the airport, and she hugged and kissed me just as she had promised. Either she was a highly talented actress, or she genuinely adored me to that extent while simply using Jonathan for intimacy. I was still baffled by her antics. She dedicated an hour to spend with the girls and enjoy their company that evening. In bed, she was exceptionally tender and reiterated how much she had missed me and the girls, lamenting her absence from us for an extended period. She mentioned that all she thought about was being with me like this, now in bed, holding each other. She was tender, loving, and remarkably different from the woman who had been at the trade show. I was also affectionate and genuinely enjoyed our moments together. It felt right, and I yearned for it to be genuine, as being with her was how I imagined spending my existence. However, I was aware that it would all conclude soon. I never revealed what I had discovered, and I showered her with my love and fulfilled her desires every night. Any observer would envy our seemingly perfect bond, assuming we shared the most incredible relationship. This charade continued for 3 months, during which I looked for any sign of infidelity but found none. She consistently returned from work at the same time every afternoon, with no peculiar calls or messages. I even began to wonder if perhaps I had been mistaken and everything would resolve favorably. Mr. Breeze, a private detective, contacted me to schedule a meeting the following day. I drove to his downtown office and waited in his conference room. "Good afternoon, David. It's a pleasure to see you again," Mr. Breeze greeted me. "Likewise, Mr. Breeze," I replied, harboring a mix of hope and apprehension about the Kim and Jonathan situation. Mr. Breeze presented a sizable leather binder divided with tabs for text message exchanges, voice transcripts, video calls, phone logs, and photographs. Before we proceed, I must admit my confusion. I confessed. Over the past 3 months, I have closely observed her routines, and everything seemed normal. She appeared to be the quintessential spouse and lover, leaving me perplexed. "Let's go over the findings and see if we can clear things up," Mr. Breeze suggested. My heart couldn't bear the tension of the messages, so I had stopped checking the cloud files, hoping against hope. However, the reality was grim. The binder contained over 75 pages of text messages, 25 pages of emails, 75 pages of time-stamped photographs capturing their hotel encounters, over 82 video calls, and 50 pages detailing their conversations. Kim and Jonathan have frequented this motel almost 4 times a week over the last 3 months, Mr. Breeze revealed. "Look at these photographs. Every day, around 1 p.m., they spend approximately 2 hours together per visit. Recently, it appears that 2 men have been visiting your wife with the same frequency. Do you recognize this man?" The shock was palpable. "It's Hassan Sinclair, the CEO of her company. Are you telling me she has been unfaithful with 2 individuals, including the company's CEO?" I was devastated to learn of her intimate involvement with both men, confirmed through messages, calls, and videos. The video call labeled balcony actually showed him being intimate with my wife while she leaned over the railing. It seemed they felt invincible and were unaware they were being recorded. Our 8K video captured close-ups of their expressions, and our audio recorded their voices as well. He played the video on the 80-inch screen. There was Kim, my wife, bent over the balcony railing with her CEO standing behind her. I felt sick. I had to leave the room for a few minutes to gather myself. I returned to the conference room and insisted they continue, because now I needed to see what else she had done. The video marked Balcony 2 showed my wife with Hassan and Jonathan simultaneously. "I'm simply sorry to have to show you all this, but since it happened in public, you could use these videos if you decide to move forward with your divorce and the custody battle," Mr. Breeze said. I sat there with my jaw dropped, struggling to believe that it was really Kim, hoping this was all just a massive mistake. "David, we've investigated Jonathan Wills and Hassan Sinclair. We found out that Jonathan has been married for 10 years and has 4 young children. Mr. Sinclair has been married for 25 years and has 3 adult children. The text messages showed that Jonathan introduced Hassan into their affairs after your wife expressed interest in experiencing a threesome. It's getting late, so I'll let you review the rest when you're ready. Take the binder and this USB drive with all the documents and videos. Your lawyer will definitely need them. When I spoke to my lawyer, he was surprised by the volume of evidence we had collected and couldn't understand how there were no indications of her infidelity at home. She continued to behave like a devoted wife and mother, acting as if everything was perfectly normal. My lawyer mentioned that we had several legal avenues to explore based on the evidence I provided. I needed time to review all the options and schedule a meeting for the following week. I instructed him to initiate the divorce proceedings immediately. Leaving his office, I felt an immense emptiness inside. I knew it was over even before these meetings, but seeing those videos extinguished any last spark of hope for reconciliation. Still perplexed, I wondered who this woman was. After putting the girls to bed, we sat on the couch and watched an old movie I found on Netflix called Unfaithful. I had heard it was interesting, so I suggested we watch it. Since the movie was about infidelity, I had planned to steer our conversation in that direction. During the movie, I casually mentioned that a colleague had been making advances toward me over the past few months. Can you imagine me with another woman? I joked, laughing. She stared at me with narrowed eyes. Seriously, who is she? If I find out you're even thinking about that, I'm leaving. You are mine and no one else's, she stated emphatically. Even as I tried to keep the mood light, her tone was completely serious, making it clear she would not tolerate any betrayal. I was astounded by her anger at this hypothetical situation, given her hypocrisy. She was furious over a hypothetical scenario while she was regularly unfaithful with 2 men. This is maddening, David. Why didn't you mention this woman before? What's her name? Kim demanded, growing increasingly agitated. Calm down. She's just an intern, a young girl who is a bit too friendly. I haven't paid her any attention, I reassured her. And you, Kim, are the most attractive woman in your workplace. Are you saying no one flirts with you? Of course not. Everyone knows I'm married, and I would never cheat on you. So, in all our years together, you've never been tempted by another man, not even an innocent flirtation or a kiss. Have you ever been unfaithful to me, love? Now she was visibly angry. Are you serious? Did you really just ask me that? I tell you all the time how much I love you. I'm always by your side. I couldn't even imagine being with someone else. You are unbelievable. I can't believe you asked me that. I apologized. I agreed with her, and we continued watching the movie. Silently, I chuckled to myself, contemplating how she could have been an exceptional actress, given her persuasive demeanor, which even planted seeds of doubt in my mind. It was no surprise she excelled in her profession. After a brief moment of calm, she snuggled closer to me. Seizing the opportunity, I took out my phone, opened the messaging app, and pulled up a photograph of Kim and Jonathan embracing intimately on the dance floor, his hand placed provocatively on her. Observing the image, she noticed my distraction. What are you busy with, David? Why aren't you enjoying the movie? Because what I'm looking at here seems much more genuine, I replied, muting the movie to show her the picture. She was momentarily speechless, struggling to articulate a response. I kept looking at the photo, commenting, "Wow, what a passionate embrace with Jonathan. I can't wait to hear your explanation, honey." It was just a dance, and he was drunk. When the music ended, he pulled me in for a kiss. What you don't see here is my immediate reaction. I pushed him away and caused a scene. It was an unwanted advance. I see such incidents happen, she acknowledged. And that was the only instance. She seemed less certain as she answered, "Yes, honey, and it won't happen again." As the movie continued, I leaned back shrouded in silence, aware of Kim's growing anxiety. Moments later, I accessed another video on my phone, capturing their cozy moment on a couch. My gaze was fixed on the screen while she looked at me with an alarmed expression. "What is on your screen now? Remember the night you told me you were exhausted and going to bed early?" It's funny because Greg sent another message, this time a video 2 hours after our call. Interested in seeing it? As I played the video, It clearly showed them kissing, their hands venturing where only I was supposed to venture. Eagerly awaiting another explanation, I commented, no longer angry, but amused by her nervous response. "Oh, David, I'm so sorry." After our conversation, Jonathan insisted we review a client issue for the next meeting. I admit that after a few drinks, I wasn't completely aware. Remember, I insisted I was faithfully married and left immediately. Believe me, nothing else happened. Therein lies the dilemma, my dear. I pointed out, deliberately using my dear to underscore my point, catching her attention with the term. The problem is that in these brief moments you have deceived me twice. Can you understand my perspective? I am here alone, and the woman I adore is not in one, but in two photographs sharing a kiss with her supervisor, all while wearing the most daring clothing she has ever worn. How do you think that makes me feel, my love? David, I adore you. This happened 3 months ago. Why didn't you speak up earlier? Honestly, I was waiting to see if you would come clean yourself. I wanted to ensure my wife was as honest and transparent as we have always been with each other. But now I see the reality of our situation. Are you hiding anything else? Are you involved with him? Have you fallen in love with him? I toyed with her, amused by her bewildered reaction and her performance. She began to sob, repeatedly expressing her love for me. Kim, please refrain from insisting how much you love me. I believe you do, and I still have feelings for you, but that is irrelevant to these images. I'm trying to understand. Why is there something else you aren't being honest about? I asked discreetly, activating the voice recorder on my phone. David, believe me, nothing happened. Yes, there was a kiss as you saw, but that was it. Every time, I told him he had to stop. I'm not sure what else Greg shared with you, but you have to trust me. Okay, stop crying, honey. I believe you. However, I'm baffled by your outfit that night. You have never dressed like that for me, nor styled your hair or done your makeup that way. It was all for him. You haven't answered my question. Do you have feelings for him? Are you contemplating leaving me for him? Kim, please, I need the truth. Her sobs resumed. No, David, I only have love for you. I never want to lose you. Nothing happened, and I can't explain my choice of clothing. Maybe it was because all the other women were dressed similarly, and I wanted to match their elegance. I'm not entirely sure. I felt a bit insecure, I guess. I can understand that. It makes some sense. But why didn't you inform me about your interaction with Jonathan, especially if, according to your version, nothing significant happened and you ended it? I didn't want to distress you. After all, he is my boss, and I couldn't risk my job over a misunderstanding. If anything serious had happened, I would have told you immediately. I hugged her tenderly, allowing her to sob. This was just the beginning of a month-long saga to carry out my revenge. That night we were intimate, and I marveled at her fervor, emotionally distancing myself, seeing myself simply as another of her conquests. I had no intention of giving up the pleasure of her company, nor of alerting her to any suspicion. Her performance was remarkable, but at that moment, my concerns were elsewhere. Her enthusiasm was unparalleled, evidently striving to reassure me of her exclusive affection for me. This behavior persisted over the following weeks. Every night her performance was flawless, and I simply savored the act. The next day, I checked the cloud for exchanges with Jonathan, and unsurprisingly, she did not disappoint. Oh, someone captured photos of us at the carnival and forwarded them to David. His friend saw me having dinner without David. I'm not sure if he is aware, but the pictures caught us in a kiss. Wow, now that you mention it, I remember someone in front of us with their phone in hand watching us. What did David do? Nothing. I convinced him it was all a misunderstanding, and he believed me. He is unaware that I spent the night in your room. I blamed it all on the alcohol and smoothed things over. He's quite naive. A few affectionate gestures and intimacy are all it takes to reassure him. Be careful, honey. We've planned to meet tomorrow at 1 p.m. as usual. I can't wait. It's been too long. I love you, honey. I love you too, honey. That was the last message, and I sat in silence contemplating everything. Yes, undoubtedly, I was the most foolish person on the planet, but the revenge was satisfying as I walked this devastated path. Nevertheless, I took the opportunity to observe Kim's antics and tally up her fabrications. The first step naturally involved securing my financial well-being, transferring assets, closing accounts, and so on. I kept my primary Visa card active, but reduced her limit to $2,500 to mitigate potential fallout. Since Kim was unaware of my displeasure and never anticipated any changes from my end, I confirmed with my lawyer that, given the house was mine prior to our marriage, it wouldn't be necessary for her to vacate once she was informed. Of course, I composed the infamous email that I ultimately sent, which included videos, text messages, and photos, and I sent it to all her acquaintances, family members, and co-workers. I also prepared duplicate 3-ring binders of my personal collection to be shared with Mrs. Sinclair and Mrs. Wills in their distress. This would be released simultaneously when everyone was notified and legal actions were initiated. I instructed my attorney to file public civil lawsuits against both Jonathan, her supervisor, and Hassan, the CEO of the corporation. Since the company was among the largest tech firms on the East Coast, my lawyer was eager to involve the CEO, planning to propose a settlement before exposing how the company's executives were involved in sexually harassing their employees. We collaborated with Child Protective Services attorneys to secure full custody of the children, preparing all the necessary documentation and case files. Over the following weeks, life seemed normal. We enjoyed our time with the kids, maintaining our routine of dining out and avoiding the looming issue. My reluctance on the subject likely agitated her, leaving her wondering about my thoughts. Undoubtedly an exhausting experience. I opted to play around with Kim more, casually asking, "So, Kim, did your boss retaliate in any way after the event? Is there anything you'd like to confess about your ongoing meetings with Jonathan at the hotel?" I was baffled by her ability to deceive with such ease. It was intriguing to observe her responses, and I had become adept at anticipating her lies. She replied calmly, "No, not at all. It's peculiar, but we both pretend as if nothing happened. And honestly, nothing did. He has been completely professional, and we barely converse, busy as we are with our projects." I simply smiled, still amazed that the mother of my children and my partner could lie to me so effortlessly. That night, I vented the residual frustration bubbling inside me, engaging with her and fully embracing the moment. "Oh, my David, what got into you? You were incredibly intense tonight. I've never seen you so uninhibited. I enjoyed it. What a terrible realization. I knew this would be our final encounter before the chaos unraveled the next day, and I was determined to get the most out of my soon-to-be ex-wife." That afternoon, a sheriff made his way into the offices of Tricom International looking for Mr. Sinclair. Shortly after, Sheriff Clark entered Sinclair's office, handing him an envelope. "Mr. Sinclair, you are hereby served." Moments later, Sinclair found himself alone in his spacious office with the envelope in his hand, overwhelmed with dread. Upon reading the lawsuit for the third time, he immediately instructed his secretary to summon Hassan, who had just received his own legal notice from the same sheriff. Rushing into Sinclair's office, both men were stunned and bewildered. "What the hell is going on? How did this happen, Hassan? If my wife finds out about this, I'm finished. This is your fault. You assured me we wouldn't get caught. You better fix this, Hassan, or I swear I will take everything from you and your family." Sinclair was a formidable figure, a determined individual who had risen to the top of this multi-billion-dollar multinational company, and he wasn't about to give up his position. Jonathan hurriedly left his office and waited for the elevator to descend to the 12th floor to speak with Kim. As he headed down the hallway toward Kim's office, he noticed the sheriff approaching from the opposite direction. Coming from where Kim was, he burst in her office and found her sitting at her desk with tears streaming down her face. She was inconsolable, unable to articulate a word. David had shattered her world just as she had done to his months prior. It took over an hour for her to calm down enough to form coherent sentences. "Kim, what the hell happened? How did he find out about everything? I was just served with divorce papers." "What do you mean, everything?" "Sinclair and I have been named and are facing a lawsuit for our actions. We aren't sure what evidence he possesses, but it seems there's more than just the 2 photos you mentioned. You must persuade David to drop his lawsuits. Otherwise..." Sinclair will dismantle everything we have, including my family. Oh no, this is terrible, truly terrible. Go to him, make him see reason. Do whatever it takes to stop this. Go home and handle this situation. Call me tonight to update me. Kim gathered her belongings in a daze and drove back home. The man she cherished, her husband and the father of her children, intended to divorce her. She didn't want a divorce and deeply loved David, but she found herself trapped in a cycle of seeking sexual gratification that she couldn't resist. She was determined to make David see that she couldn't lose him over this mistake. Arriving at an empty house, she noted that the girls were with David's sister, a routine arrangement for the afternoons. She called David's sister, asking her to keep the girls overnight, a request that was immediately accepted. After preparing herself, she anxiously awaited David's return from work. At 6 p.m., she heard the garage door and nervously waited for him to walk in. Hi, Kim. I wasn't expecting to see you tonight. I thought you'd be with Jonathan. Oh, wait, he's married with children. That might be awkward. David, please, we need to talk. She led him to the couch, sitting next to him, seemingly very well composed. He knew what to expect and decided to play along. David, how do you know? I was served today, but you understand I don't want a divorce. I need you, I love you, and I won't sign the papers. Jonathan was insignificant to me. Our encounters were purely physical, not emotional. I deeply regret it and promise it will never happen again. Oh, you promise? Then I suppose I should just overlook everything and go back to how things were, he said with an affectionate, feigned smile. Kim hugged him, expressing her gratitude and love, convinced of his forgiveness. However, he soon pulled away, highlighting her delusion. You are delusional. I can never trust you again after your continuous lies and betrayals. There is nothing left. Despite numerous opportunities, your deceptions persisted. Will you ever realize the damage done to our daughters? It's impossible for me to overlook this in your pursuit of Sinclair and Jonathan, given that they are high-ranking officials of a major company and share the blame for the collapse of our marriage. I feel compelled to take legal action against them for the well-being of our daughters and to seek justice for their role in disrupting our lives. Kim had never heard David speak that way, and she had never seen him so furious and determined. The gravity of her situation finally hit her, and she realized she no longer had control over the situation or her husband. At this point, all she could do was beg for mercy. Thus, with tears streaming down her cheeks and on her knees, she grabbed David's legs and implored his forgiveness. David genuinely felt compassion for her, but his anger eclipsed his pity, and he gently guided her to the couch. In a calm tone, David spoke to Kim as if she were a child. Listen, Kim, you need to pack your things and stay at your mom's house for a couple of days. Find a lawyer, and then we can arrange a time to discuss everything. As friendly advice, I suggest you stay away from Hassan and Jonathan. Things are about to get complicated. Later that night, at her mother's residence, she hinted that she and David had a minor argument and that she needed to stay with her for a few days. At 11 p.m. that same night, she called Jonathan. Jonathan asked her to hold briefly and quickly pulled Hassan into a conference call. Hassan, are you there? Kim asked. Can you hear us? Yes, we're all here, they replied. Sinclair initiated the discussion. So, Kim, did you manage to convince him to drop the lawsuits and the divorce? No. Actually, he kicked me out and warned me to be careful, as this could turn into a serious problem, replied Kim. Sinclair exploded over the phone. My God, Jonathan, what have we gotten ourselves into? Kim, you are a complete disaster. I swear I will make sure you and Jonathan pay if my family finds out about this. I don't care how, but you have to stop this. I can't do anything. He is being completely irrational and is ignoring all my attempts to communicate. He won't even answer my texts or calls. Sinclair then said, Jonathan, you have to resolve this. Schedule a meeting with David and make sure he meets us at a loud bar or somewhere similar. Kim, you will join us too and ask him to dismiss the lawsuit in our presence. If he refuses, then Jonathan and I will outline how detrimental it will be for him and his family if he doesn't reconsider. I have expert contacts in handling these matters, and I won't hesitate to employ them to keep this situation from spiraling out of control. Jonathan, do you understand your assignment? Yes, Mr. Sinclair. Kim, do you understand your role, right? Yes, Mr. Sinclair. I'll make it happen tomorrow afternoon. We are running out of time. That night, when they informed David about the call, he wasn't surprised by their desperation and began formulating his counter-strategy. As expected, Jonathan contacted David the next morning to propose a meeting to negotiate a settlement, suggesting they meet on a patio at 6 p.m. that day. David agreed. At 4 p.m., he was in his private investigator's office preparing for the encounter. They used advanced technology equipped with noise cancellation to isolate vocal frequencies and ensure clarity even in noisy environments. A private investigator was also present to discreetly record the meeting. David arrived at 6:15, intentionally late to give the investigator time to set up his video equipment. Upon seeing Kim and her associates, David approached them. Kim, I'm surprised to find you here alongside your partners, but I guess your loyalties are clear now. Gentlemen, what brings us together today? Sinclair introduced himself. David, I'm Hassan Sinclair. I requested this meeting. Sinclair, you look quite different in person. Those videos don't do you justice, though I can't say I'm thrilled to meet you. And this is Jonathan Wills, the man who betrayed my trust with my wife, leading to the collapse of my marriage. It's safe to say meeting you brings me no joy either. David continued. Sinclair tried to defuse the situation. I understand your anger, and if I were in your shoes, I'm not sure how I'd react, but there is a matter we need to discuss. Is that okay? What's on your mind? Asked David. We are here to request that you drop the lawsuits you filed against me, Jonathan, and our company, stated Sinclair. Is that so? Well, I'm afraid I cannot comply. Someone must be held accountable for stealing the most valuable thing in my life, David replied, looking at Kim. The only woman I have ever loved and the mother of my children. I can't imagine a life without her. Witnessing David's words, Kim began to cry, realizing the extent of the damage she had caused to what mattered most in her life. What would it take for you to stop all this and reconcile with Kim? Name your price. First of all, there isn't enough wealth on the planet you could offer me to make me reconsider getting back with her. She broke my heart, my trust, and put our children's future in jeopardy for a rendezvous with you two. That is out of the question. I will drop the legal and commercial lawsuits under 2 conditions only. First, I demand a payment of $5 million. Second, I insist on meeting both of your wives. And Kim, and you both must fully confess your actions. If you accept these terms, I will cease all legal actions. David, I will hand over $100,000, and you will have to sign a non-disclosure agreement to never speak of this to anyone, Sinclair said, lowering his voice. I cannot expose my family to this scandal. And if they find out, David, I swear I will hurt you. Kim revealed your entire schedule to us, which facilitated your disappearance. So let's negotiate once more. David, unbothered, simply smiled and took a sip of his drink. All right, I'll lower the sum to $4 million, but your families must be informed of your actions, he replied, leaving Sinclair stunned. Sinclair's jaw dropped. David, you're sealing your fate. Think about this carefully. Drop the charges and take Kim back. It was just a brief affair. We can conclude this matter. David pulled out his phone, sent a couple of text messages, and then sent an email he had prepared earlier, releasing all the videos, images, and text to Kim's contacts, family members, friends, and coworkers. The text messages were for couriers stationed outside Hassan's and Jonathan's residences, ready to deliver packages that, within moments, placed identical binders full of evidence into the hands of Mrs. Sinclair and Mrs. Wills. Angered by David's disdain, Sinclair yelled, "What the hell, David? I'm talking to you. What is your answer? Will you drop the charges?" David's response was blunt. My message to you, Hassan, Jonathan, and my wife, is to disappear. Right at that moment, calls rang on Hassan's and Jonathan's phones from their wives, having received the packages. Sinclair's face turned a furious shade of red as he glared at me. Jonathan, shocked, had tears in his eyes. Kim, bewildered, asked about the situation. "Check your inbox soon and you'll fully understand the situation," I advised Sinclair. After a tense call with his wife, he pointed at me and screamed, "You're finished, David. I will make sure you suffer." He stormed off. Jonathan, confused, asked, "Why would you do this?" He found it absurd that retribution would follow his misuse of my wife and the mother of our daughters, orchestrating her involvement with Sinclair. "I made sure your wife received all the evidence, so she understands the kind of man you are." Kim's relatives began calling her nonstop. After seeing the evidence, she denied knowing anything until she saw my email. Realizing the gravity, she confronted me. "How could you?" she demanded. Despite her outrage, I remained firm. "We are over," I declared confidently, knowing that the legal actions would secure my daughter's future and possibly implicate her legally. "I'm sorry, Kitty," a nickname she shared far too freely. "Soon everyone will know about your actions," I concluded. Tricom agreed to a $2 million settlement with me. Hassan faced severe repercussions as CEO, receiving no severance, forfeiting millions in stock and payout packages, and receiving a prison sentence for multiple charges. His wife left him, ensuring his financial ruin. Upon his release, he would be without resources, without family, and without a home. This news brought me slight joy, and for the first time in many months, I managed to smile. Jonathan's wife also divorced him, leaving him without money, a home, alimony, and taking half of his income for child support. He was ordered to pay $1 million in a civil suit for scheming the infidelity and causing a loss of affection in my marriage to Kim. After losing his job, he started working as a day laborer. David continued to relish his revenge. Upon learning of Jonathan's downfall, that he had to declare bankruptcy and began living under a bridge near where day laborers gather, it provided David with even greater satisfaction, and he found himself smiling more often. Kim was initially sentenced to 5 years in prison, but thanks to David's intervention, her sentence was reduced to 1 year of house arrest, followed by 4 years of probation for her role in the conspiracy. She lost custody of the children to David due to the evidence and her criminal actions, which left her with nothing in the divorce. The house, being David's property, left her without a place to live. Before being fired, she earned the same as David, so no alimony was required. Kim fell into a severe depression and now resides in her mother's basement. Her actions led her family to distance themselves, resulting in her losing visitation rights to her children. The email I forwarded with the attached video and images exposed a side of Kim that was previously unseen, effectively dismantling her family support system. No one, including Kim herself, seems able to forgive her. She is taking medication after 3 suicide attempts and has spent the last 6 months repeatedly in and out of psychiatric facilities, unable to forgive herself for the damage she helped cause. David now dedicates all his time to his daughters. The divorce settlement allows him to focus solely on them. The daughters have not seen their mother since the suicide attempt, but they have solid support from David's sister and mother. The girls are expected to recover well from this traumatic event, which is unlikely to leave a lasting scar on them. Although the revenge brought some satisfaction, it could not completely heal David's emotional wounds. He still harbors love for Kim and has forgiven her, but he cannot erase her from his memory. His daughters keep him busy, helping to alleviate the loneliness caused by the betrayal, dishonesty, and deceit. It might take years for David to open his heart to love and trust someone again. It is astonishing how minor actions can significantly affect numerous lives. Exercise caution and subscribe to our channel to ensure you do not suffer a similar fate. And listen to our next story, as it makes this one seem mild in comparison.